intro to the Super Bowl and its economic importance. So, what is the Super Bowl? The Super Bowl is the annual championship game of the NFL, and it is played between the two best teams that season. The game is played between the conference champions, the champion from the AFC, and the champion from the NFC. So, what is the economic importance? It draws in a massive global audience with often over 100 million total viewers. There's high profile halftime shows featuring major music artists, premium advertising slots, and it is one of the most watched sporting events in the world. So, to overview the Super Bowl market, the Super Bowl has many economic elements that often go overlooked. There are the three main economic elements or factors that go overlooked are the impact on host cities, nationwide consumer spending, and advertising. So, for host cities, when a city gets a chance to host the Super Bowl, they will see a tourism boom. Local spending will increase in like restaurants, bars, transportation, stuff like that. And there'll also be jobs created, like temporary jobs in hospitality, security, and event staffing. Nationwide consumer spending will also increase. Stuff like food and drink for watch parties, electronics like new TVs, team merchandise, and decorations for Super Bowl parties are just a few of the main products that generate millions of dollars in local spending all across the country for the Super Bowl. And then there's also advertising. Um, the Super Bowl is the most valuable advertising event in the U.S. The average annual revenues from the event range from 300 million to 1.3 billion dollars. Brands pay upwards of $8 million for a 30-second ad to be ran, and the more money that brands spend with the Super Bowl to advertise, the more screen time their ad gets. So then it becomes almost a competition between brands to buy the most and the best commercial slots. So these slots are very premium and they get millions and millions of views, and there's a very high demand for these commercial slots.
The NFL operates as a type of monopoly when it comes to the Super Bowl. A monopoly exists when a single organization has control over a product or service. And in this case, the NFL is the only organization that can host the Super Bowl. There is only one championship each year, and no league can compete with it at the same time. The NFL controls how many tickets are distributed, who can broadcast the game, and how the event is organized. Because of this control, the NFL is has significant market power, which allows it to influence prices and maximize profits. Hosting the Super Bowl is a has major economic impact on the city where it is held. Thousands of visitors travel to the host city, which increases spending on hotels, restaurants, transportation, and entertainment. This can create temporary jobs and boost local businesses. However, cities mm, sorry. However, cities spend a large amount of money preparing for the event, including security, infrastructure, stadium improvements. Because of these costs, economists often debate whether the overall economic impact is as large as it appears. When the Super Bowl does bring in revenue, the long-term benefit to the host city is are sometimes overstated. The Super Bowl is a great example of supply and demand. The number of tickets available is very limited because stadiums only hold around 60 to 70,000 people. However, millions of fans would like to attend the game. With the demand being so much higher than the supply, the ticket prices increase significantly. This is a scarcity where a limited resource is desired by many consumers. When demand increases, the price raise until the market reaches an equilibrium price where buyers and sellers agree. The tickets are expensive because demand is extremely high while supply is low. Not only do fans compete for tickets, companies and sponsors do as well. Businesses will buy tickets to entertain clients, reward employees, and do giveaways and raffles. Tickets are often resold through secondary markets due to the high demand. Platforms such as StubHub, Ticketmasters, and SeatGeek allow sellers to charge higher prices based on what buyers are willing to pay. Because of this, prices for the Super Bowl often reach several thousands of dollars more than the original price.
Consumer and producer surplus in the Super Bowl. Consumer surplus is the difference between what a buyer is willing to pay and what they actually pay. Producer surplus is the difference between what sellers are willing to accept and what they actually receive. In the Super Bowl market, both of these are very large because demand is extremely high and supply is limited. Consumer surplus example. For example, if a fan is willing to pay $15,000 for a Super Bowl ticket but only pays $8,000, their consumer surplus is $7,000. This shows that even though prices are high, fans are still willing to feel the experience and believe that it is worth more than what they paid. Producers surplus in the Super Bowl. On the producer side, the NFL and ticket sellers gain a large producer surplus. For example, if they are willing to sell a ticket for $2,000 but sell it for $8,000, they gain a $6,000 surplus. Because the NFL controls the event and limits supply, they are able to keep prices high and maximize profit. Elasticity of demand. Elasticity measures how much demand changes when price changes. If demand is inelastic, it means that even if prices go up, people still continue to buy almost the same amount. The Super Bowl is a strong example of inelastic demand. Super Bowl ticket demand. Super Bowl tickets are inelastic because even when prices rise, people still want to attend. This is because it's seen as a once-in-a-lifetime experience and it has strong emotional and social value. Also, because there are a limited number of seats, demand stays high no matter the price. Super Bowl advertising. Super Bowl advertising is also inelastic, especially for large companies. Even though a 30-second ad can cost over $7 million, companies still purchase them. This is because the Super Bowl has over 100 million viewers, giving companies massive exposure and long-term benefits.
Every year, the Super Bowl advertising increased over 200% since the 2000. They play 63 ads every year, and the most ones by Toyota, T-Mobile, Coca-Cola, Bud Light, Pepsi, and more. Different celebrities play in the commercial for the audience to buy the brand. NBC Universal broadcast sell the commercial ads to be shown during the Super Bowl. Different brands paid more than $10 million. The purpose for companies to put their commercial during the Super Bowl is because they want to rebrand themselves. Many people watch the commercial more than the Super Bowl itself, so it gives companies the opportunity to show what they have. Sales even goes up. People will buy what they see on TV. It will even boost marketing efficiency.
Conclusion. Overall, the Super Bowl shows how microeconomic principles work in the real world. High demand and limited supply lead to high prices and large consumer and producer surplus. We also see that demand for both tickets and advertising is inelastic, meaning people and companies are willing to pay high prices. This demonstrates how incentives, scarcity, and market power influence economic decisions. Thank you for listening to our presentation.